Okay, so we're diving into this Fox Business article today, and I gotta say, this whole thing about Social Security's full retirement age going up again, it's kind of like they keep moving the goalposts, right? Makes you wonder if you'll ever actually reach the end zone. And even if you're, years away from retiring yourself, this stuff really matters. It really makes you think about how to plan for your financial future.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's easy to think of retirement as this far off thing, something way in the distance. But getting a handle on these changes now can really make a huge difference later on.
The article mentions this change is happening pretty soon, too, like right around the corner, right?
Yeah, November 2025. And it's not exactly a minor tweak either. For anyone born in 1959, the full retirement age is going to jump to 66 and 10 months. That's a pretty big leap from that old standard of 65 that so many people are used to.
Wow, November 2025. That is coming up fast. So those folks born in 59, they're looking at working longer to get their full benefits. But what about people who want to retire earlier? What are their options?
Well, you can actually start claiming Social Security benefits as early as 62. But there's a catch. If you decide to claim early, your monthly benefits are going to be permanently reduced. And we're talking a reduction of up to 30%.
30%. Wow. That's a serious chunk of change. So there's a real incentive to wait, right?
Exactly. Holding off on your claim until after your full retirement age actually earns you a bonus. You could get up to 8% more each year.
So the longer you wait, the bigger that monthly check. Makes
Yeah.
sense. But that also makes me think about everyone's individual situation, right? Some people might need to tap into those benefits sooner rather than later.
That's where careful financial planning comes in. You really got to weigh those immediate needs against your long-term goals. What are your expenses likely to be in retirement? How long you expect to live and be receiving benefits? Those are some really key questions to think about when you're deciding when to claim.
Sounds like there's no one-size-fits-all answer. And speaking of financial planning, let's get into the cost of living adjustment, or as the cool kids call it, COA. The good news is Social Security recipients are getting a COLA in 2025. But there's got to be a but here, right?
There is. The COLA for 2025 is only 2.5%.
So what's the deal there? Why such a small increase?
Oh, it's all tied to inflation. Inflation has cooled down from its peak back in 2022, but prices are still high. The whole point of the COA is to help people maintain their purchasing power. It's not about getting ahead, really, but more about keeping up with the rising cost of things.
That's a really important point. It's almost like running on a treadmill just to stay in the same place. When you think about how much prices have gone up for things like groceries, gas, healthcare, does a 2.5% increase really cut it?
It's a valid question, and it kind of leads us to an even bigger issue, the long-term sustainability of Social Security itself. This article and a lot of others are sounding the alarm about a potential financial crisis.
Okay, let's break this down a bit. What's going on with Social Security's finances? The article mentions something about a potential crisis.
Unfortunately, it's not just potential, it's a very real concern. There are several factors all coming together to create this perfect storm. You've got the baby boomer generation retiring in huge numbers, and people are living longer, so they end up receiving benefits for a longer period of time. And at the same time, you've got fewer workers paying into the system.
So more people taking money out and fewer putting money in.
Exactly. And that imbalance is putting a massive strain on the program's finances. In fact, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, they estimate that the main Social Security Trust Fund could be completely depleted by 2033.
Wait, 2033? That's less than 10 years away. What happens then? Do benefits just vanish?
They won't necessarily disappear, but they would most likely be drastically reduced. The CRFB projects potential cut of 21% across the board if nothing is done to address the funding shortfall. A 21% cut, that would be a huge blow to so many people. Millions of Americans rely on Social Security. And for a lot of them, those benefits make up a big chunk of their retirement income.
It's definitely unsettling to think about. A program that so many people depend on, facing these kinds of challenges. What can be done about it? Are there any solutions being talked about?
Well, there are a number of options on the table, but none of them are easy fixes, and they all come with their own trade-offs. One idea is raising the full retirement age even further, so people would have to work longer to get those full benefits, but that would also reduce the number of years they'd actually collect those benefits.
So pushing that goalpost even further out, is that really fair to people who are already planning based on the current age?
It's definitely a controversial point. Another idea being floated is increasing payroll taxes, the taxes that fund Social Security. That would bring in more money, but it could also put a strain on workers and businesses.
It's like walking a tightrope, trying to find a solution that doesn't cause more problems. What other options are there?
Some experts suggest tweaking the benefit calculation formula, maybe reducing benefits for higher earners, or changing how those cost of living adjustments are calculated. Each solution has its pros and cons. It'll probably take a combination of approaches to really solve Social Security's long-term problems.
Sounds like a complicated issue with no easy answers. But knowing all of this, how does it change the way we should think about saving for our own retirement?
It really highlights the need to be proactive. Don't just rely on Social Security alone for your retirement income. Social Security is important, it's a safety net, but it was never designed to be your only source of income in retirement.
Like thinking of it as a base layer rather than the whole outfit, right? You need other pieces to make sure you're comfortable and prepared.
Exactly. It means thinking about retirement planning earlier in life. It's never too soon to start saving and investing.
So even for someone in their 20s or 30s, this is relevant information.
Absolutely. The sooner you start, the more time you have to let that compound interest work its magic. Even small contributions over time can really add up.
Can you talk a bit more about compound interest?
It's the idea that the interest you earn on your savings also earns interest, and so on and so on. It creates this snowball effect, really boosting your savings over the long term. Even if you can't contribute a lot right now, starting early and staying consistent is key.
So time is on our side when it comes to saving. Are there other strategies to think about besides just a regular savings account?
Definitely. Diversifying your investments is crucial. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Look into different retirement account options like 401ks and IRAs. They offer some tax advantages that can help your savings grow faster.
Are there resources to help people figure all this out? It can feel a bit overwhelming.
There are. You might want to consider working with a financial advisor. They can help you create a plan that fits your goals and your risk tolerance. They can help you navigate all the ins and outs of investing and retirement planning.
This is all really helpful advice, but I think it's also important to acknowledge the emotional side of this. The idea that Social Security might be facing this uncertainty, it's got to make people anxious.
It's totally understandable to feel that way. But the key takeaway here shouldn't be fear, it should be empowerment. Knowledge is power. Understanding these challenges means you can take control of your financial future. Don't just sit back and wait. Make a plan and start taking action today.
I like that shift in perspective. So we've gone from exploring how Social Security works, to understanding the potential issues, to figuring out ways to take control of our own financial futures. It's been quite a journey.
It has, and I think it's a journey everyone should be on, no matter their age or their current financial situation.
We started out talking about the full retirement age going up, and wow, look where we ended up. This whole conversation about the future of Social Security and what it means for all of us.
Yeah, it's like we tugged on one little thread and this whole big tapestry unraveled. We covered the changing retirement age, those KLA limitations,
Yeah.
and the very real financial problems that Social Security is facing. It's a lot to take in, but I really think this information is crucial for anyone thinking about their future.
I agree. And that's what we're all about in these deep dives, right? We take all this info like this Fox Business article and we break it down, we find those key takeaways, and we figure out what it means for you, the listener.
It's all about connecting those dots between these policy issues and your daily life.
So after all this, what's the one big thing you hope people take away? What's the aha moment?
I think the biggest takeaway is that Social Security is important, but it was never meant to be your only source of income in retirement. It's a foundation, a safety net. But you got to build on top of it with your own savings, investments, and financial planning.
Like we were saying before, Social Security is the base layer, but you got to add more to create a truly secure retirement. And the earlier you start, the better.
Couldn't agree more. Time is your best friend when it comes to saving and investing. Compound interest really works best when you give it that long runway. Even if you're just starting out, even small contributions can make a huge difference over time.
This has been a really eye-opening deep dive. Thanks for sharing your expertise and helping us understand all this.
Happy to do it. And I hope this conversation empowers listeners to take charge of their financial futures. Remember, knowledge is power. The more you know, the better choices you can make.
That's a great way to put it. If you're feeling inspired to take action after this deep dive, we encourage you to do your own research. Check out available resources, maybe even talk to a financial advisor. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Your future self will thank you.
And remember, retirement planning isn't a one-and-done thing. It's an ongoing process. Stay informed, stay engaged, keep learning. There's a ton of info out there to help you create the retirement you want.
That's it for this deep dive into the shifting sands of Social Security. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep diving deep.